James was feeling sorry for himself.
I'm getting old, he grumbled to the other engines one morning. I can't get about like I used to. It's alright for you younger ones, but my wheels are getting stiff.
Edward, Gordon, and Henry had all been on the Fat Controller's railway longer than James, but they didn't say so. At last, Henry was tired of James's complaints.
Poor old Groaner, he said. It's no use you just sitting there and moaning. Why don't you tell the Fat Controller that you're past it?
But James didn't like that idea. Not all old engines, so he had heard, were preserved. Some, they said, were sold for scrap.
Best not.
The night goods left the big station at midnight. Usually one of the Fat Controller's diesels pulled it. But Bear was away, and Boko was at the works. So James had to take it instead. He grumbled more than ever.
All this extra shunting, he snorted indignantly. It's too much for an old engine like me.
2 days later, an inspector came to the sheds.
People who live near the yard are complaining, he said. They said there's a sort of groaning noise that's been keeping them awake at night. I don't remember hearing anything, said James's driver. We were there until midnight. That's right, agreed the inspector. That's when they say it stopped. It's probably only James moaning and groaning about his extra shunting, suggested Henry cheekily. Shut up, retorted James. If you had the shunt at night, you'd moan and groan louder than anyone.
That night, James's driver and fireman listened carefully.
It is you, James, they said at last. Your brake blocks aren't holding your wheels properly, and when they rub against each other, they make a groaning sound. Oh dear, said James mournfully.
The Fat Controller acted at once.
I can't have complaints about my railway, he ordered. Donald and Douglas shall take turns on the midnight goods until the diesels return. James must have his brakes seen to at once.
James was pleased not having to pull the night goods. But his nickname of Old Groaner stuck for several weeks after. He thought that it might have been better to be shunting instead.